It started like any other Thanksgiving warm lighting. The smell of roasted turkey lingering through the house, and the faint clatter of laughter and dishes from the dining room. But I sat quietly in the corner, like I always did. The extra chair at the end of the table, the one no one ever fought to sit at. I never questioned it, just like I never questioned why my cousins got hugs and inside jokes and second helpings before. I was even asked if I was hungry. My name's Evan, and I was 18 then, old enough to notice how love was rationed around me like a scarce resource. My mum, Linda, always seemed tired, distracted. She'd smile at me, yes, but it was the kind of smile you give a neighbor you barely know, not your child. My dad, well, the man I thought was my dad, barely acknowledged me beyond basic instructions. Take out the trash, don't be late, keep your room clean. That Thanksgiving, something inside me felt off. I was used to being invisible, but that night, the tension felt heavier, like the air was preparing for something. And then the doorbell rang. Everyone paused, mid-bite. My uncle, half laughing, said, "Who the hell shows up at Thanksgiving uninvited?" My dad got up to answer, and the whole room quieted, the kind of quiet where even the fireplace crackles felt intrusive. A man in a dark suit walked in, tall, polished, I noticed his shoes, first leather, spotless. Then his eyes, scanning the room like he was searching for something, someone. "I'm looking for Evan," he said, his voice smooth but heavy, like it carried a lifetime of unspoken stories. My heart stopped. Everyone turned to look at me as if they'd only just remembered I existed. "I'm Evan," I said, almost whispering. The man's face softened. "I'm Robert Caldwell," he said, extending his hand. "And I believe I'm your real father." The room imploded. In silence, my fork fell from my hand. My mum turned ghost white. My so-called dad stood frozen. My uncle choked on his wine. "What the hell is this?" someone muttered. But Robert didn't move. He just stared at me like he had waited years for this moment. "There's a lot I need to explain," he said. "But I wanted to see you face to face first." I didn't move. Couldn't breathe. My mind was a mess of static. My real father. What did that even mean? Why now? Why here? Thanksgiving. My mum suddenly stood up and shouted, "Get out!" Her voice cracked, and her hands trembled. "You don't get to come here and destroy everything." But it was already too late. Everything was already destroyed. My reality had just shattered into pieces in front of my entire family. I had no idea which piece to pick up first. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My ears were ringing. My throat was dry, and the world around me blurred like I was underwater. All I could do was stare at the man who had just shattered every truth I'd clung to for 18 years. Robert Caldwell, my real father. My mum's voice was still echoing through the room. "Leave, Robert. This isn't the time. He doesn't need this." But Robert didn't flinch. He looked directly at me, not her, not my supposed father, not the dozens of eyes locked on us with dropped jaws and half-chewed turkey. "Evan," he said again, softer this time, "I've looked for you for years. I didn't even know you existed until a few years ago. But I swear to you, I didn't come to cause chaos. I just wanted to see you, hear your voice, know you're real." My stomach twisted. It was like every cell in my body didn't know whether to run, scream, cry, or laugh. I turned to my mum. "Is it true?" I asked. My voice cracked, weak like a child again. "Is he really my dad?" Her eyes filled with tears. Her mouth opened, but she couldn't speak. That silence told me everything. That 1 second of hesitation broke something. In me, oh my God, I whispered. It's true. My so-called father, Greg, slammed his fist on the table. Enough. This is our family's dinner, not some circus. Get out, Robert. Greg, you're not his father, Robert said calmly, painfully. And you knew that. You've always known that. Greg stood up, red-faced and shaking. We raised him. I gave him a roof, food, everything he needed. But not love, Robert said. Not what he deserved. That word hit me hard. Deserved. Did I ever deserve anything? Did I ever feel like I was enough? Greg stormed out of the room, and suddenly the rest of the family started talking, all at once, whispers, gasps, arguments, disbelief. Some of my cousins stared like it was a reality show. Others looked away like I'd just turned into something shameful. I felt exposed, humiliated, confused. And yet, under all of it, a small ember of hope started burning. Robert stepped closer, gently reaching into his coat pocket. He pulled out an envelope. This has everything, he said. DNA results, a letter, and something else. I took it with trembling hands. The weight of the envelope felt heavier than it should have. He stepped back. I don't expect anything from you, Evan. I just wanted you to have the truth. If you ever want to talk, or if you want nothing to do with Mile, respect that. But I couldn't stay away anymore. My aunt finally spoke up. Wait, Robert Caldwell. The Robert Caldwell. The billionaire investor from New York. Robert looked awkward. I don't like that title, but yes, that's me. Murmurs rippled through the room again. My heart pounded louder. This wasn't just a family secret being exposed. Was a secret tied to power, wealth, status, and I was at the center of it, completely unprepared. My mum broke down sobbing. I wanted to hate her, to scream at her for lying to me my whole life, but I could see she was breaking too. I did it to protect you, she whispered, trembling. I didn't want you raised in that world. I thought he'd leave you like he left me. Robert's face twisted in pain. I never even knew she was pregnant. I would have been there, I swear it. I turned and ran out. I couldn't hear any more. My mind was a chaos of broken truths, hidden pasts, and terrifying possibilities. I ran down the road, past the houses glowing with warmth, past the laughter and music of other Thanksgivings. Alone, cold. I ended up at a bench near the lake, where my dad Greg used to take me fishing when I was a kid. Or at least, the man I thought was my dad. I sat there with the envelope in my lap. I didn't open it. Not yet. My fingers trembled too much. All I could think about was how the world had flipped in a single sentence. I believe I'm your real father, and I had no idea what to believe anymore. What if it was true? What if I wasn't Evan Collins? The quiet, invisible kid no one remembered at holidays. What if I was Evan Caldwell, son of a billionaire? My entire life felt like a lie, but the real nightmare. I was starting to wonder if I even wanted the truth. Everything after Robert's announcement felt like a fever dream, surreal, thick with disbelief, and punctuated by angry whispers. My mother, pale and shaking, had stormed into the kitchen, slamming cabinets as if breaking wood could reverse time. My so-called dad Mark just sat there, stiff as a statue, wineglass in hand, staring at nothing. But Robert Caldwell, he stood calmly at the threshold like he hadn't just dropped a nuclear bomb on my life. And me. I was stuck in the middle of this hurricane. eyes darting between the man who raised me like a chore and the stranger who claimed to have been searching for me all my life. "Can we talk?" Robert asked, gently, nodding toward the hallway. I guess," I said, not trusting my own voice. We walked past the dining table, the stunned silence of my relatives trailing behind us like ghost sand, entered the study. The door clicked shut. That's when I saw it. His hand trembled slightly as he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded photo. He handed it to me. It was a picture of a woman, young, beautiful, holding a newborn. "That's your mother," he said. I looked at him. "No. My mum is. She raised you," he interrupted. "But she didn't give birth to you." My breath caught. My chest tightened. He continued, "Her name was Isabel. We were together in college. We were young and in love, but her parents hated me. They didn't want their daughter marrying a poor law student with no future. We tried to run away together, but something happened. A car accident. I survived. She didn't." His voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw the pain beneath his polished exterior. "You were born 2 months later. I was in the hospital with a shattered spine. I didn't even know she was pregnant." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Then, how did I end up with them?" He sighed, like the answer weighed too much for words. "Your birth was kept quiet. Her family, they blamed me for everything. I found out years later that you had been given to a friend of the family, someone who couldn't have children. That's Linda, your mother. I searched for you for years, Evan, and when I finally found you, you were already a boy, living in this house, thinking this was your life. I wanted to come forward, but every lawyer I spoke to said it would only traumatize you. So I waited until now." My hands trembled. I looked at the photo again, tracing the edges of my birth mother's smile. She looked so much like me, it hurt. "Why now?" I asked. "Why wait until Thanksgiving? Why ruin everything like this?" He shook his head. "Because I'm dying, Evan." Silence. "I've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 4. 6 months, maybe less. I didn't want to leave this world without looking my son in the eyes. I didn't want to die a stranger to you." The room spun. My knees buckled, and I sat down hard. Dying. My real father was dying, and I had just met him. Meanwhile, the people who raised me were liars. My entire life, built on secrets, stolen, fabricated. Suddenly, the door burst open. My mum stood there, mascara running rage in her eyes. "Get out," she hissed. "You're not taking him from me. Not after all these years." Robert didn't flinch. "I'm not taking him anywhere, Linda. I'm giving him the truth." Mark appeared behind her. For the first time, he spoke. "He doesn't need your truth. We raised him. You weren't there. And yet you lied to him his entire life." Robert said coldly, "Don't act noble now." They started yelling. Accusations flew like knives. Adoption, deception, legal custody, emotional manipulation. I covered my ears, but it was no use. Their voices so loud, so ruffled the room like poison. I ran. I burst out the front door and into the November night. Cold air slapped my face. My legs moved without direction. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to breathe. I ended up sitting on the swings at the park down the street. My mind raced, heart pounding like a war drum. Was I Evan Caldwell now? Or still Evan Thompson? Did a name even matter when the people who gave it to you built your life on lies? Then I felt a presence. Robert had followed me. He didn't say anything, just sat on the swing next to me, the metal creaking softly beneath his weight. After a while, he spoke. "I know this is a lot, son. I can't imagine the pain this causes you, but I want you to know something." I turned toward him. "I never stopped looking for you, not once, even when I had no money, even when people said you were better off. I always believed I'd find you. And if these are my last months, I want to spend them knowing you." Tears spilled from my eyes. I didn't respond because I couldn't. My throat was closed with grief, anger, confusion, but also something else, something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next morning, I awoke in crisp white hotel linens, sunlight streaming through towering windows that overlooked the skyline I had only ever seen in movies. It felt unreal, like I had been plucked from the pages of my ordinary life and dropped into someone else's dream. Robert had booked us a luxury suite, claiming I needed peace to process, but all the gold trimmings, velvet chairs, and marble sinks made my head spin. I walked barefoot across the polished floor, heart pounding, wondering how I'd landed here, how a man I met just yesterday could flip everything I knew about myself. At breakfast, Robert sat across from me in a tailored suit, the air around him humming with calm confidence. He poured my coffee like we'd been doing this for years. Then, finally, he began. "I met your mother in college," he said quietly. "She was fire and poetry and chaos. I loved her." His voice trembled, only slightly. "But her parents hated me, thought I wasn't enough. When she got pregnant, they pressured her to disappear, and she did." I sat frozen, the silver spoon halfway to my mouth. She never told me where she went. I looked for her for years, then one day I found out she'd married another man, and that you'd been born months earlier. His voice cracked. "I did the math. You were mine, but by then it was too late. They sealed everything off, changed towns, changed names. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up with emotions I didn't know how to name. Was it rage, betrayal, a desperate ache for a past I never got to live? I stood at the edge of the stage, the auditorium dim but filled with faces, some familiar, many not. The microphone felt heavier than it should have, its presence urging me to speak not just for myself, but for every broken, confused, and unloved version of me that had lived until this point. Robert sat in the front row, eyes glassy, his wife gripping his hand. My mother wasn't there. She had chosen silence. My so-called father, the man who raised me, had vanished the moment the truth was out. But in this moment, I wasn't alone. I looked up, not at the crowd, but at the blinding spotlight, and began. I spent most of my life believing I was unwanted, a mistake, a burden. At family dinners, I'd sit quietly, watching others smile and fit in, thinking maybe if I just tried harder, I'd be let in too. The room went quiet, breathless, but the truth is none of us are mistakes. Not when we survive, not when we choose love over bitterness. I saw nods, some cried, some smiled. Robert, my real father, stood slowly, tears falling freely, and started clapping. One by one, the others joined. The sound filled my chest with warmth I didn't recognize at first. It was belonging, it was healing. And for the first time in my life, I felt seen. Not as a burden, not as an outcast, but as someone finally home.